everybody, it is Megan Gill here with Paint Flowers and More, and today we are going to paint a spring bouquet, but with a twist. We're going to sketch with a pen and no erasing. So here we go. Are you ready to get started? And if you like what you see here, follow down below of meganbaileygill.com/sign up for my newsletter of upcoming classes and more videos. Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that can help you too. Okay, so let's get started here. Let's go to right here. That is what we're going to make today, or attempt to make, is this nice little flower pot with a whole bunch of little stuff in it. And I want you to take some creative license, and we don't have to put all of that stuff in there. So here's what we're going to do. And I haven't set the timer yet, but it is, all right, let's see what we can do here. So it's a pen. This is a 207 Uniball Signo 207. It is not a bold. I do prefer bold, but when I'm drawing, like the first thing, I like to do it with a skinny, and then I'll go back over it with an actual, let's see if you can, it is just not gonna, nope. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready? So you don't have to do everything. So one of the things that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start down here with a bowl. You see how they have this bowl? And then they have, notice I am acting just like a pencil at this point, right? There's nothing special about what I'm doing here. I'm lightly going over it. I'm not full on pressure here. I'm just barely coming in and sketching out what I've got here, okay? Now, because it's a bowl shape, this has to be curved, this has to be curved, and pretty much everything else that we do on this little guy has to be curved, especially if it has lines in it or anything. So the one that we have up here in the corner is got actually plaid to it. We're going to wait to see what we could do with that. Okay, so now I'm going to worry about the big flowers. So big flowers first. We're going to start here with that purple poppy. Notice I went around and around a few times. There's a penny right about here, right? That red. Okay. And we're going to make something up here. Let's do something like, it's a tulip down up there or something. All right. And we've got some white roughage. Maybe it's a hydrangea. Maybe it's, I don't know what this is, but we're going to just plop it in there. And then we've got a few circles here of green things. So I'm going to go in and do some donuts. So that's the cool thing about a lot of these. Now, also notice that some of them are overlapping each other and some of them aren't. That is always good. And you see, I'm also putting the dots or the donut circles, not just in the center of it. I'm kind of going out. Now, up here, we've got a few green stuff, right? And white stuff. So I'm just going to put some sticks there to kind of indicate, okay, so that's what this is, Megan. And then I'm going to come in and make a few smaller circles. And I'm going to add another tulip-like thing right in here. And I really like these Davy Gerber things, but see how big I've got that? So that's going to put them hanging way out here. So I'm actually going to move them up here, okay? That's the key. You don't have to draw exactly what you see here, okay? You get to pick and choose. You are the artist. I'm going to make it behind that big one. I'm going to make that one up here. Now, one of the key things is you see how this is one big circle-like thing? I like things to pop out of it. So this doesn't have that, but I'm going to go and put something right about there. And maybe right here. Okay, we're going to start there, okay? So notice you can get it on your hand and it can bleed on here. So be careful. Now, this has to be completely dry. Wee. Yeah, that was great. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to do big pops of color. And I have just some old paint here. And I'm using my Koi watercolors today. And I'm just going to plop it down here and see what happens. So I'm going to take a little bit of my pinky red, probably magenta, and I'm going to come in and lightly, ooh, that was a little dark for me, come in and add, oh, that was my white. Oh, don't you love it when I mess up? That's always so much fun. Now notice these little dudes are white, so I'm going to come in and barely put any. I'm going to try to pay very close attention to where those little white things are. And this was also, right, and then I have this right here. Notice I kind of did this with all of this color, right? I really wanted a white hydrangea in there. But now we've got white on white. What are we going to do? Make it more of a green limelight hydrangea, maybe? Maybe. Okay, so I've got one layer. Now I'm going to keep going to another layer. Now, I need this to dry a little bit before I go and add a whole lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to this little guy. So this little guy, we are going to make a flower pot. And we are going to make it a light blue color. So I'm playing with my blues to see which one I like the most. I think I like the first one I did. Okay. And I believe that is 022 maybe. I'm really not sure. But you see how I normally just blend it all together? It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to try to make plaid. So I'm coming in. And I have to make sure I go in a circle. I have to follow this bottom edge. Now you see I'm going up a little bit on the top there because I'm not really good at drawing from that other side. Now, while I'm here and it's wet, I'm going to come in to each one of these sides and add a little bit more. Now, because it's wet, it's going to go right in there, okay? As in, literally what it does is it only goes where the water is. Now, what's happening? It looks like this is white and this is white. We're going to make this little guy blue. And we have a saucer here, a white saucer. So if it's white, it picks up any color we want it to be, but it's on wood, right? So I'm going to go ahead and start with some brown. And it looks like there's right here. Now, so one of the things that I've noticed with beginners is we have to paint everything. We don't have to paint everything. Your viewer is smarter than you think they are, okay? If you do your job right, you don't have to give them all of the information. You're like, well, I'm a beginner. That's kind of the problem. Okay, the point I'm trying to make is that you don't have to, okay? Give the viewer a little bit more credit, okay? So now that I have this done, I'm literally going to come in here and go, all right, now what can I do with this saucer? I noticed that it's kind of got a lip right here, which I don't even have on my drawing. I'm going to need to put, all right, so I have a little bit of Payne's Gray here. You see how I made it light? I went from black to really light, and I kind of move it to the side and get more water and put it right here. And that's going to give me my lighter whites. All right, and I'm going to come in and come down here to the bottom of this bowl. All right, and I'm going to come in this side of the bowl. No, I didn't draw this, so this is like, ooh, what are you doing here, right? Okay, so I'm going to come in and draw a nice little line there, and I'm going to draw a little bit on the internal of that right there. Notice some of that blue went up there. That is A-okay with me. All right, you got to let it dry before you go on any farther, okay? So let's talk more about these limelights. So limelight hydrangeas are pretty green, but they are a light green because it's almost white. Now, do you see? No, you don't. How this is green. And I literally have added water to it to get it very, very pale. All right. And this time I'm going to come in and I'm going to make this the hydrangea, right? All right. So I'm going to just come in and add some dots. And I'm going to add more dots on the inside edge of this than on the outside. I'm going to check to see if this works. Ah, you can see a little bit better now, can't you? All right, and I'm going to add some green in here because we know that these had green in them. Those daisies had more of a yellow, or Gerber things had more of a yellow. So I'm going to come in. I have some leftover yellow over here, and I'm going to put them in here. All right, so I'm getting a little bit more. I'm getting better with this. This is working better for me. Okay, so this right here, remember, is more of a poppy hydrangea thing happening. So I want it to be a little bit more pinky. So I'm going to come in with more of a pink color. And I'm going to come in and look at where the darks are. So the dark was there. The dark is in here. This had a dark there. You see, I'm only doing like 1 or 2 strokes. And I'm just bringing it in. Now, remember, all of this had green stuff around it. We just haven't got to it yet. And then this right here, big right there. This was right in here. Okay. Now, this still, it's a little bit dry, but not dry enough yet. So I'm going to go into some of my greens because I can come in and now add a little bit of some leaves to help bring it out. This is really cheery and happy with our watercolor spring stuff. And if you notice, I'm coming in on these little spots where things are all together, and I'm adding dots of this green because it would be dark and it would have green stuff, right? Like that's what is in flowers, green stuff, green leaves. So you got to put them in there. And it gets darker and darker the more center it is, if you look. I'm feeling better about those right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, actually, you know what? I'm going to change brushes. I'm going to go to my number 2 with some blue. And this time I'm going to go horizontal down. Now I'm going to start right in the center here. And I'm going to come in, and it's a cone. So that means it all needs to be at an angle going out from here. putting in a little bit of that plaid looking stuff, right? Okay, now where would this be darker? On the sides. So not in here in the middle. So what I'm going to actually do is over here on the sides, on the edge, I'm going to make them a little bit darker, which just means I'm going to go over them a little bit more so they look a little darker. That's pretty cute. Okay, so I'm going to leave it, let it dry. This is how you do plaid. And now I'm going to go to my flowers. What is my time? 15. I'm going slower today, boy. Oh, boy. Here we go. All right, so I've got my pink. Let's see if I can't show you kind of what I'm going to do here. I'm coming in here with my little small brush, and I am adding some little details. Think of this as a pencil now. But I have no control over this. That's kind of what I want you to do. I want you to have no control over it, okay? So I want you to, this is practicing control, one, because it's small and I'm trying to be timed, so that means it's fast. I don't want it to be perfect. And it's also teaching you how to control water. Now, I want these little dudes to be a little bit more purpley. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to get a little bit of purple and add it with my pink. And I'm going to just come in and make that dark side of that to be a little bit darker. And I'm paying attention to the actual screen to say, okay, where is this headed? And add this one. All right, now that means these two and that. I'm going to make my tulips more red. So I'm just coming in. Now, look how saturated that red is. That is a little much for me. I want a little bit more pale, so I'm going to get me some more water on there and see if I can't mix that in there, which that looks much better. All right, now let's talk about these limelights again. We're going to get another green, but we're going to make it nice and light again. And this time we're going to come in. Notice I haven't done anything with these white flowers. Just leaving them there. And adding, I'm going to get a little bit darker. Now, remember, everything in watercolor dries lighter than it is, okay? So that's a good thing for us because this limelight right now is literally lime, right? Okay, so I'm going to come in with some more greens. That's a really dark green. Ooh. Remember, we needed dark into some of these spots to make it darker in here. Now, I'm liking what's happening. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back to our saucer. So I'm going to make this darker. This time I'm going to add a little bit of that green to it just to plop in there so it's a little bit better. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm making this whole side right there. And it goes just like that. Which means that this side gets a little bit darker Okay. It's a little bit darker underneath this area. Now, because watercolor is transparent, one of the things that you can do is literally make a light wash to help this look like it's actually shaded. So I'm going to come in here and lightly add that line there, and I'm going to come in and add, because this one, it's all coming this way, right? Okay, so now I'm going to come back in with a little bit of this, add it to my wood, makes it a little darker. Now this side has got the light on it, so technically that shouldn't have been there. We should have made it all over here. But what are we going to do about these two big ones? So we're going to go back to pink, and I'm going to add a little bit of those petal-like things in them, and bring it out just a little. Now I'm starting to like this. This is starting to grow on me for sure, okay? So one of the things that's really cool about this is I am liking a few things. I think I want more yellow in those places. So let's get some real yellow. So I'm going into my yellow, and I've got some pure yellow, and I'm just adding it in there. Now, that limelight would have a little bit of yellow, but what I have right now is a little too saturated. So I'm going to water it down, and I'm going to come in and add a little bit of yellow. Because, you know, yellow is such a happy little color. I kind of am known for calling yellow a wimpy color, but it is awfully pretty and sunny and happy, right? Okay, so I'm liking what's happening here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and I still want that a little bit redder. So at the bottom of these tulips and things, I'm adding a great deal more red to get that to pop out. See how dark that got those? Okay, now back to my purple ones. Let's go and do a little bit of the same, just to make them more saturated and to make them pop out a little bit more. Add a little bit of the purple. Do you see how I kind of add it everywhere? I don't just add it because, well, I add it to some of the darks because purple is a great color to darken stuff with, okay? It is a really good, but do you see how it's starting to make those look round? If you don't add that contrast between the light and the dark, you're not going to get a very round object. So this is a little flat to me. So what that means is that this side still needs to get a little bit darker. So let's take a little bit more, and let's come on this side and bring it down. It would also have a little bit of a shadow right up here. It would also have a little bit right here because the handle is there. All right. So all of a sudden, this little guy has become relatively round because of it. Now, what I'm actually going to do over here is come in and do that. And you see, I basically, what I just did there was framed it out just a little bit. And this right here is very, very dark because it's inside the bowl. Now, it's not inside this bowl right here. Okay, that's better. I'm also going to, again, make it a little bit darker on this side to really say this is the dark side. Welcome to the dark side. Do you need something in the back? Maybe. If I choose anything, I think I'm going to actually choose yellow. Can't believe it, people. We should all write this down. That's awfully dark. Let's go. Let's add a little bit more water. My grandmother's favorite color was yellow. She had a yellow couch. I kept thinking, how on earth do you keep this thing clean? That's always fun, right? She had it forever. Okay, so now I've added my yellow. And I've added some background to this. Now, you didn't have to add a background, but it does make the scene look a little bit more put together, doesn't it? I do want to go back in it and actually, like you were like, this has got white stuff here. You didn't draw any of that. You're right. At this point, I'm probably not going to, but I am going to dry this, and I'm going to come in and do a little bit more pen work with this. So, hold one moment as we find that. I might even put a little bit of yellow streak in there. Now, this right here is not my favorite thing. So, now let's see if I can find a pen that's my fancy pen. "27 minutes. Ugh, I am really slow today, aren't I? I'm struggling a little bit. And that happens, right? Sometimes it happens. This bowl thing needed some work. It still needs some work. And sometimes, but actually challenging yourself with actual time constraints, or how many brush strokes you do, or a limited color palette, or something like that, makes you better every single time. So know that to keep it interesting, you could do little challenges every day. Okay, now, I don't think everything's dry though. Oh, it's close. Yeah. Okay. So I have my Uniball Signo 207 bold happening here. And now I'm going to go do Megan's thing, my actual outlining, okay? So I'm going to come in and add just a little bit more to, now basically what I'm doing is I'm shading with my pen, right? So if you notice, I did that, cutting off all of that. So that means that all of this can become background. All right. So now that we have that, it just keeps coming, focusing in and out, doesn't it? That's really annoying. Okay, so here I lightly add in. Don't overdo this. And I'm getting very close with these little white things. I'm doing the edge and not each individual. Okay? Come on. Ugh. How come it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't? I don't know. All right. Now, this hydrangea, look at these squiggles. They're lightly, and I'm basically doing more of them towards the edge. All right. Can't get it to focus. Now, you don't have to draw every single petal. You can draw just a few. You can come in and you can just draw a few of them to give an indication that there is a flower here, right? Now these tulips, what's cool about tulips is that they always have this cool shape and this cup-like shape with this thing on top, and that always works really, really well. Now, I'm going to come in and I'm going to add Now, one of the things I could also do is to add little baby's breath. So what I'm doing when I add little baby's breath is I'm coming in and I'm adding white, or not white, but little black dots indicating, oh, there's something here. That's all you got to do. And it always goes on top of everything. It's never right on like on something. Like it's not behind this. It's mostly always right on top of things. Okay? Every once in a while, maybe you do a little bit of this. But for the most part, I'm calling this done. Okay. So I am sorry that that is not working out really well of the actual being clear or not. But I do have a lot of these, and you can watch them on my YouTube channel. So if you like this, please sign up and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you next time for paint flowers and more. Bye.